So today we'll be learning on Java arrays. An array is a collection of variables of same data type. We already have discussed how we create variables. Here are some examples. Like if we want to declare a raw variable, we'll write integer raw. Now, if we have to declare four raw variables, then we can do it this way: integer raw1, comma raw2, comma raw3, comma raw4. But suppose we have to declare 100 raw variables or 1000 raw variables. Suppose in a university there are 1000 students, and for all students we want to declare raw variables. So in that case, declaring in this way, integer raw1, integer raw2, integer raw3 to integer raw1000 will be a very time consuming and long process. So uh, there comes the concept of array. In array, we can directly declare a group of variables. So what is an array? Array is a collection of variables of same data type. It is a group of variables of same data type. So if we write it this way, integer raw equals to new int 100, what will happen? 100 variables of raw numbers will be created, and each raw variable will be of integer type. I have given an example here. Now suppose we declare integer num equals to new int 9. So what will this do? This will create 9 numbers, space for 9 numbers. There will be 9 variables. First variable will be n0, second variable will be n1, then n2, then n3, and last will be n8. So the array length will be 9, and or the size of the array will be 9. The first index will be 0, and the last index will be whatever is the length minus 1, or the size minus 1. So in this way, we can very easily declare a group of variables. So let us repeat once again. We declare variables in our program, and each time we can write it this way: integer raw or integer num. But whenever we have to declare a group of variable, then declaring individually all variables will take a lot of time, and it will be a very cumbersome process. There comes the solution in the form of array. We can declare very easily. What we have to do? We have to write it this way: integer num. This is one part, then new integer 9. And here also, this is not the complete syntax. Here also we give the bracket. Here also in raw we have to give the bracket that we'll be discussing in the coming few minutes. So this is not the complete syntax. This is just for example that this is how we can declare a group of variable. Now this is the actual syntax. Here you can see integer, and then we mention this bracket. As soon as we mention this bracket, this name is not a single variable, but it becomes an array of variables or a group of variables. And if we initialize, since it is a group, there will be more than one value. If we initialize it this way, 12, 4, 5, 2, 5, then in memory there will be 5 variables of name age. Each variable have the same name, but the index will be different. The first value will be stored at age 0. The second value will be stored as age 1. The third value will be stored as age 2. The fourth as age 3, and fifth as age 4. So first value 12 will go to the first member, then 4 will go to the second member, 5 will go to the third member, and this way we can declare. So what is an array? Array is a group of variable. Why do we declare array? Because when we declare array, declaring individually all variables actually can take a lot of time. So this way declaring of members will also be very easy. For example, if we want to store the name of 100 people, then we can create an array of a string that can store 100 names. In this way, we'll write a string, then we'll give a bracket. As soon as we'll give a bracket, this names will be a group of names that will be an array. And then we write new string and give the size. This is the size of the array that the number of members in that array will be. Here, the above array cannot store more than 100 names. The number of values in Java array is always fixed. At the time of declaration itself, we have to give the size. So these are the two examples you can see here. First example, in the first example, we have declared an array and we have also given the values. This is called initialization. In the second example, we have declared a variable and we are mentioning the size. Here we are not mentioning the size, instead we are mentioning the values. So if we pass 5 values, the array will have automatically 5 size. But here we are not initializing, instead we are just declaring that there will be 100 names in the program that can store 100. We require 100 variables to store 100 names. So this is the concept. Let us see some properties and then we'll move on to programs. The properties and advantages of array. Declaring a group of variable is fast and easy, as we have just mentioned. Any member can be accessed directly by its index. Like suppose we want to access this value 5, then we will write age 2. If we print age 2 directly, we do not have to go from age 0 to age 1 to age 2. This is independently accessible. Every member is independently accessible. So any member can be accessed directly by the index. All members have same name, but the index varies. And the first member has the index 0, the last member has the index, that is size minus 1. So if here we have 100 names, so first name will be names 0 and the last name will be names 99. We have 5 age. So first age variable is age 0 and last age variable is age 4. Size minus 1. Here also size minus 1. So these are the properties or the advantages. And what are the limitation? All members are of same data type. So this is the first limitation. That suppose we have declared we want to store marks of 100 people and we declare it as integer. Now some students, one or two students may have got in this month like 50.5 marks, then we cannot store that value. Either we have to declare all values as float or we have to declare all values as int. So all members are of same data type. The size of the array is fixed in the program and cannot change after the program is running. So when we are writing the program, we have to declare the size, how many values we want to store in the array. And later on, when the program has been run and you get to know that no, the size was less, we want to increase the size, or the size was too large, we want to decrease the size, then that cannot be done. So either there will be some data loss if the size of the array is less than the number of values to be stored, or there will be some memory loss if we declare a very large size of array and we have to store only few values in it. And the third limitation is that all members are created together in memory, thereby requires a large chunk of memory if the size of array is large. That means if we declare 100 names, so all 100 names will be stored at the same place in memory. So a large part of memory should be empty at that time when the array is being created. Now, in older days, there was a lot of limitation in memory size, so it was a real problem. But nowadays, every computer, every laptop that we use has a 4 GB of RAM or 8 GB of RAM. So the size of memory is not of a lot of concern. But the first point that all members of same data type is a big limitation of array. Array can be declared in 2 steps or it can be declared in 1 step. Syntax is first we have to mention the data type, then we have to mention the bracket. This square bracket is the system that we are creating an array. This is not a variable, but this is an array. For example, int number, and in between we are giving this bracket. So as soon as we give this bracket, then the computer knows, the compiler knows that it is an array. And then we have to mention what will be the size of the array. size. So we mentioned number equals to new int 10. So this will be 10. Here the array can store 10 elements. We can also say that the size or length of the array is 10 in this particular situation. Now these two steps can be combined to one step like this: integer bracket number. So number is the name of the array, is the size of the array. So in this way we declare an array. So first of all we have to learn how to declare an array in Java. So declaring array in Java is simple. You have to declare the data type and the name of the array, and then you have to mention the size, and that can be done in one line itself: integer array name is number, and it will be of 10 size. Now, how will we initialize? There are two ways to initialize. First way is either this method. At the time of declaration only, we can initialize the array. Like here, we are declaring five values in the age array. So as soon as we are declaring the array, we are also mentioning the values to it. So it will create an array of size 5, and each member will have the value as the first array member. Age 0 will be 12, second age 1 will be 4, third age 1 will be 5, age 3 will be 6, age 4 will be 7, age 5 will be 8, and so on. We can also initialize it in this way in 5. So here we are declaring 5 arrays, and then we can individually initialize them. Age 0 equals to 12, age 1 equals to 4, age 2 equals to 5, age 3 equals to 2, and age 4 equals to 5. In that way also we can do. So there are two methods to initialize. First method is at the time of declaration itself we can initialize the array, and the second method, what we can do, we can first declare and then give the values individually. So this is also another way. We have to note that array index always start from 0, and that is the first element of the array. And if the size of an array is n, then the last element of the array will always be n minus 1. The index will be n minus 1 that we have just declared. Now, how to access value? First, we have learned how to declare an array. The second is how to put values in array, and third is how to access those values, how to print those values. So, suppose in this program, you can see we have declared an array, and there are 5 members in the array. So, if we want to print each member, so we can write it this way: first element is age 0, second element is age 1, third element is age 2, fourth element is age 3, and fifth element is age 4. And in this way, you can get this output. Above you can see the complete program. We have declared an array of the name of the array is age. There are 5 values assigned to it, and those values can be printed in the program in this way. So we can get the output. So this is how we declare an array and initialize them, and then this is how we can access those values. Now, suppose what can happen. Suppose there are 50 members in the array. So writing age 0, age 1, age 2, age 3, age 4 up to 50 or up to 100 can be very long process. So in those situations where the size of array is too large, we don't access individually, but we can also take the help of loop. For example, now suppose we have an array. The name of the array is age, and there are 3 values in it. So what we can do, we can create a variable using the for loop. We can do it this way. We can use a while loop, we can use do while loop, any loop. So we declare the index as I, it just starts with 0, and then we can take the property that is age length. Name of the array dot length will tell how many members are there. So here there are 3 members, so age length will be 3. So how this program will execute? First, it will be the value of I is 0. 0 is less than 3, yes, so it will print age 0. So age 0 will be 12. You can see the output is 12. Then it will go up. I plus plus will make it 1. 1 is less than 3, so it will print age 1. Then I plus plus 2. 2 is less than 3, it will print age 2. When I plus plus 3, 3 is less than 3, condition false, so it will come out of the loop. So we can also use or loop, take the help of loop to print array, and any loop can be used, not only for loop. You can use while loop, you can use do while loop, as per your choice. It is up to you. But in this way, you can see even if the array is of 100 size, this code will not change because age.length will give the value as 100, and this loop will iterate 100 times, and all the members can be easily accessed and printed. Now we'll take another example. There is also a for each loop. The for each loop is also very convenient way of using uh, where what we can do is, uh, you can see here. Here we are declaring the index I0, and then we are mentioning the index here, and then it is getting printed. In for each loop, what happens? The same kind. What happens here? Here you can see we mention int a and age. So this is the name of the array, and this is the name of the variable. So first value of age will come to a, and that will be printed. Next time, second value of age will come to a, and that will be printed. Third time, third value of a will come to a, and that will be printed. So in this way, all values can be printed, and we do not have to increment. Usually in for loop there are three parts: the initial part, then we check the condition, then we make the increment. See here, we have initialize with 0, then we check how many times it has to iterate, and then we do the increment. But here what is happening? Here we are not doing anything. We are just mentioning that this loop will be for age. So whatever may be the number of values in the age, this loop will iterate that many times, and all members will be printed. So for each loop is also a very good and convenient method to access array members. Output will be the same. Now here is a program where we compute the sum average of all the array elements. Now in this program we are declaring uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 values in the array. So this numbers array will have 10 values. We have sum and average. So sum will calculate the sum of each value, and then the average will calculate the average. That will be sum by 10. So to sum, we have declared sum. It has been initialized with 0. Now you can see here there's a for each loop. The first time when this loop will run, the first value of number will be assigned to n, and that will be stored in sum. Next time the second value of numbers, that is a minus sign, will come to n, and that will be assigned to sum. Then third value of 0 is assigned to n, and that will be executed. Then fourth, fifth, sixth. So every member of the array will come one by one, and it will be added to the sum variable. And now we have to calculate the average. So first we should know how many members are there. So for that we will take the help of numbers.length. So what will this do? This will find the length of the array, that is 10. And now we can typecast sum equals to average equals to sum by 10. That will create that will give the average. But the average can come in point also. That is why we have used double here to typecast. Because suppose the value of array length is integer, and the sum is also integer. So integer by integer will give a integer result. So the point value will not come. Now suppose we want that even if the average value is in point, it should be stored properly. So in that case we use the data type double here and here, so that the value is first converted to double. The sum value is first converted to double, as array length is first converted to double, and then it is divided. So that what will happen, the sum and average. So this is how we can print the array. There is also multi-dimensional array that we'll discuss in the coming session. So I'll try to revise the thing that we have discussed today here. What we have discussed, first of all, we have discussed what is an array. So what is an array? Array is a group of variables of same data type. Why do we declare or the required array is to be declared, and that group is too large. If we declare the variables individually, then it will be a very long process. So to make the thing simpler and easier, we can declare it this way, so that we declare the group. Here there is a mistake in this. There has to be a uh, square bracket between int and roll, and between int and num. But this is the syntax to declare an array. And array members are found from 0 to n minus 1. Uh, this is one way of declaring and initializing array. Then we have discussed the properties and advantages of array, and there are some limitations of the array. Then we have discussed how to declare array. So this is the actual syntax. In the above slide, we were only concentrated to understand what is an array, but this is the actual syntax. What we have to do, we have to give the data type name and the name of the array. And as soon as we mention the bracket, it becomes an array. It becomes a group from individual. If we do not mention this bracket, it will become a variable. As soon as we mention this bracket, it becomes an array. Now, it can be done in two steps, this way, or it can be done in one step. Once it is declared, then you can also initialize it in two ways. At the time of declaration, you can initialize, or you can initialize it individually one by one. And all array members are formed in this way: H0, H1, H2, H3, H4. And array index starts with 0, that we have already discussed. The last number is n minus 1. Then to access, we can access individual members by its index. This is one way, but when the array size is small, this is a good method. But when the array size is too large, then accessing will not be easier. So in that case, we take the help of loop. Now, in loop also, we have two ways. One is the normal loop that we have for loop by loop to by loop. And there we start with 0, since the first element of the array is 0, and we move to age dot length, that is the last element, and then we can access. Another way and more simpler way is that of for each loop. For each loop, what happens? Each time we do not have to increment the member or index. We do not have to mention the index. This we only have to mention the name of the variable and the name of the array. And each time one member of the array will come and get stored in this variable, and that can be system created. So try to practice this, and once you are done with it, we can move on to the next session.